hurt some people's feelings. So if you a little sensitive, you might as well turn this joint off right now. Okay? How you afraid to drop it down when you already...
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Real Talk with Rebel Fitness. We're really excited about today's episode. I mean, let's be real. I've been excited about every single episode that we've done so far, and the feedback has been incredible. We appreciate everybody who's listening, downloading, sharing, rating us, the comments. Take the time to do that for us. We appreciate it more than you guys know. Today's episode, we are going to talk nutrition. So, and we're going to talk nutrition within our scope. Okay, people. So this is the first thing that I'm going to say on this is that a lot of times gyms and fitness professionals go outside their scope in this area, and stop doing that. It's crap. Okay?
If you're not a registered dietitian, if you're not a nutritionist, you have to make sure you're staying in your lane when providing meal plans, meal advice, nutrition, advice. Don't overstep.
That's right. And we're going to kind of break that down a little bit today, how we do that. Because again, the goal of this is to have a conversation, number one, bring light to a lot of the stuff, but also talk about how we as a business do this. It's really important to us, again, to make sure that we're running the idea of nutrition through our pillars, number one, but also as all of us being fitness professionals. Like I own a business that touts health and fitness. I don't want to do any harm to anybody, same as individually within the gym, we as professionals with, education and certifications and licenses and whatever else, we want to make sure that we're doing what's right in those areas. And this has become, again, thanks to social media and diet culture and all the things, it's become a gray area. It is not a gray area. It's actually really clear. And so that's one thing that we want to talk about today is how we do it, how we rock and roll with this in Rebel. So I feel like the easiest way to do this is for us to basically walk somebody through a consult. So every single person that comes through our gym now does a consult. And I think we've talked about this previously, but I'll touch on it again. We are a prescriptive gym. All right. Everything we do is prescriptive programming. So back in the day when we were with a franchise and just like kind of like a regular boxing gym, we would bring people in and literally sign them up for a membership at the front desk. It would be as quick as like, oh, you want to box? Awesome.
Here's your options.
You're trying to lose weight. Perfect. You need an unlimited membership. Boom, done. Godspeed. And then maybe talk to you again, maybe not. See you in the gym.
Maybe never see you, yeah.
Maybe never see you again. Draft a couple payments, never see you again, and then bye type situation. So that was one of the big things that drove us crazy about the way the gym ran before, and we wanted to change. So every single person that comes in does a consult of some sort now. And that is so that we can have these conversations with people and we can prescribe, for lack of a better word, a programming setup that works really well for them based on their schedule, based on their budget, but then most importantly, based on their goals. So again, if somebody comes in and they are looking for, they have a toning goal or a body recomposition goal, and I try to sell them on 6 times boxing a week, then I'm crappy. Okay, like that's not prescriptive programming. That's just trying to sell a membership at the end of the day.
Right.
And that is not what we're doing.
Yeah, because when it comes to weight loss, the easiest way to sell weight loss to somebody, besides with an injection, but we're not talking about that, is just over cardioing people to death and selling them that they should just eat less, and less, right? So if you're telling somebody that 1,200 calories a day and an hour and a half of cardio a day will lose them weight, you're not lying. But if you're telling them that that's going to make them more healthy, help them be toned, help them have the muscular arms that they want for the summer, help them look better in that dress, then you probably are telling a lie, right? So that's the big thing, that selling weight loss just is easy if you look at it as calories in, calories out. Are you burning more than you're eating? Sure, good job. But there's just so much more nuance than that.
100%. And we love that word nuance. Take a shot. So anyway, back to the consult. So we get a person in, we bring them in for a consult, and regardless of, again, what they want, it could be somebody who's like, I just literally want to come in and try a boxing class. No problem. But we are going to chat about what your goals are, what it is that you're looking for. as we get ready to do that entire process, whether it starts with just a free boxing class or whatever. So during the consult, one of the main things that I will ask people is, tell me about your history with nutrition. Like, what does that look like? What does your current nutrition look like? What are you eating day in and day out? Are you a snacker? You drink a lot of caffeine? And then also, like, what your relationship with food will kind of come up in that a little bit, again, depending on what we hear. Now, statistically, the guys are one way and the gals are another way. Now, again, there's some crossover in this because, again, not every woman has an eating disorder and not every man is fine coming in and has the most perfect relationship with food. But statistically overall, the guys are a lot shorter. Well, either I know I'm eating like crap and doing whatever and drinking too much and eating out too much or whatever the situation is. And they're just like, I just need to change it. Or, and then typically the women are kind of trying to dance around different things and you're trying to feel out what they've got going on.
Like what Kat was talking about, it's just like taking accountability. Like sometimes you have to just be like, hey, it's what I've been eating, drinking, doing that's put me in this situation. And like you're saying, I think for men, a lot of the time it is, I've been doing a 6-pack a week. I'm fat now, but for ladies, it's, well, I just don't know what's happened, this and that. There's always this extra conversation, but if you ask the right questions, they do know what's happened. It's been the lifestyle change. It's been the stress. It's been the loss. They just haven't faced it, really.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll touch base about that stuff. Let them talk. Do some reframing. A lot of the time too, I think we talked about this the last time we were chatting in here. But a lot of the time too, it'll help kind of shed some light on some things. Like I think we used the example of keto. So sorry, we're picking on keto again in here. It's just we'll
say carnivore today.
There we go. So let's pick some low-hanging fruit in here today. So they say, well, carnivore has worked really well for me in the past, so I'm doing that again. And then it's like, okay, well, let's unpack that. What do you mean worked well for you in the past? Well, I lost 40 pounds on it, but I gained it all back, but it worked really well for me, so I'm gonna do that again. And it's like, okay, let's talk about what work well for you means. So a lot of times we'll unpack that information, help them understand that it wasn't you that failed. It was the crazy diet that you were on.
The system failed you.
100%. The system is kind of out to get you. Have those conversations, again, in a light way, just to kind of start doing some light education in those ways. And then we will start discussing, what we feel like would be the best fit for them as far as like nutritionally. Now, for us, again, we got to run this stuff through the pillars. We got to make sure we're staying within our, professional realm. And so that doesn't leave a ton of space for us to do a lot. Okay. Again, like Shamar said, I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a nutritionist. So I cannot be prescribing nutrition plans or doing anything like that. Can I give somebody like, I read this book by such and such nutritionist that I think would work really well for you? Sure. But most folks are so overwhelmed by the time they've come in to us in the nutrition realm that we're going to start really, really, really low key. And so one of the main things that we'll do from the get-go is just, and this is something, again, that's very tactical if you're listening to this or you're looking to try to make some adjustments in there, you can 100% do the same type of thing. It's some super easy adjustments that you can make nutritionally that will help you see some results and feel better within, a pretty quick amount of time. So the number one thing is focusing on protein, right? Now, I will say that the protein situation is becoming like a situation at this point. It's taken off. And
you don't have to have protein in every single thing you eat.
Yeah.
It's okay for your cookies to be made of dough and not cottage cheese.
And God, your Pop-Tarts. Y'all stop doing Pop-Tarts like this.
It doesn't have to
stop
be cottage
eating
cheese
Pop-Tarts.
everything.
Yeah, like it's what they're doing to cottage cheese now is like what they did to cauliflower. It's like leave these things alone.
You can make a cottage cheese smoothie.
Like it's everything. So again, if that helps you, great. Like, we're not trying to like dog it, because this is something we've been saying for years.
I love cottage cheese.
Yeah.
You can have regular pizza.
And we love protein. Like, we've been saying this for years. People on a fundamental level are low on protein, especially women. Women, I think it's something stupid like it was, back in the day, 90% of women were not eating enough protein. But again, we've talked about this before, this is where wellness and diet culture get predatory. They find something and then they take it and then they freaking ruin it for everybody, and they overdose on it, and they make it so that it becomes this business, right? And so now it's, how can everybody make money off of protein? And so like Shamar said, the Pop-Tarts, they don't need to be made of protein. The pizza does not need to be made of protein. Like, freaking, let's back it up, put it in reverse, Terry, okay? And like, let's start from a better space on this. But protein is important. And at the end of the day, protein is satiating. It keeps you fuller longer. And it helps with the development and retainment of muscle, which are two things that we are very clued in on. So we're going to help people establish how much more protein or how much protein they need to be eating, right? On the flip side of that too, one of my biggest things in my consults is fiber. I'm not giving you a protein goal without a fiber goal. Fiber is so imperative for so many reasons. And again, it's not considered a macro. I feel like it should be, but it's another thing that is just, people are not getting enough. And so I will definitely tell them to do those things at the same time. Plus, it's going to help, because if you're increasing your protein at a psycho rate, a lot of people don't realize what that's going to do to your digestive tract. So you're going to need some fiber for sure. But those two things, and then setting like a really low-key water goal, are the main things. Maybe a couple supplements in there based on what they've got going on. So those are the things we're going to kind of break down here really quick. So when it comes to protein, there's a lot of, and I want you to do your take on this too, but this is where I come from in mine, especially with women, is, again, there's a lot of gurus out there. There's a lot of people who are jumping on this protein train, and they're selling, because Lord knows you can get all kinds of affiliate codes and all kinds of things that make you feel special and important when you're selling protein. That is a dime a dozen out there. Everybody's selling it. There's every flavor under the sun. It's going to promise you freaking wings at this point, whatever protein you're eating. But there's a lot of gurus out there that'll try to do the whole, like, it reminds me of that Beautiful Mind meme where the guy's like thinking, and it has all the like different math things around him trying to calculate your protein, right? And the amount of people I have come into consults who are like, well, I'm really trying to get in, 200 plus grams of protein a day. And I'm like, okay, cool. How's that going? And it's like, well, it's not going good at all. It's like, I'm maybe hitting 100 a day and I want to die. And it's like, okay, well, let's chat about that. Who told you it needed to be 200? Well, it's based on this mathematician thing, and it's grams versus, my weight, the weight that I want to be versus the weight that I am now, but I think it's supposed to be this, but it's giving BMI. It's giving BMI, which if you ask anybody, doctors included, what is BMI? Where did it come from? Most of them will be like, next question, because it's not based on anything really, really, really solid. But more importantly, it's so freaking different for every person. And so that's the first thing that we'll try to break down in these consults is, let's like do an in-body scan, see where you're at. But also let's break down what makes sense for you protein-wise to be able to do. So if I've got Susie who comes in and she's already under on protein, there's no way in God's green earth I'm going to set a 200-gram protein goal for Susie on top of working out, on top of drinking her water, on top of doing all these things, which again is countercultural, because that's what the programs want you to do. Is Susie needs to come in, she needs to be hitting that protein goal, she needs to be working out 4 days a week, 5 days a week. She needs to be drinking a gallon of water a day. We'll get to that one. She needs to be taking XYZ supplement, and like boom, 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 the checklist. And it's just too much for people. It's too overwhelming. But the crazy thing is, not everybody needs that. And so our programming is really like, I will set Susie on, hey, let's start at 75 to 100 grams of protein a day. And I know somebody is out there like gasping. 75 grams of protein a day, that's child's play. Like, there's no way they're going to be able to do anything on that. I know y'all are gasping at this. Somebody out there, okay? But the beauty of this and the way you start this is that then they're going to be starting off at a very doable goal. 75 grams of protein is very doable for the average human being every single day. They're going to get consistent at that. They're going to feel fuller faster. They're going to feel full longer. And if they're progressively overloading, they're going to start building some muscle, especially that's newbie gains, right? If you know about newbie gains. But the cool thing about what we do is then we can continue to do the in-body scans, not too close together because it's not perfect, but over like a 3-week span or something like that. And what we'll see is that Susie will start decreasing in her body fat percentage and increase in her muscle mass. And as the coaches will say, okay, Susie, how much protein are you consistently eating a day? And she'll be like, I don't know, probably, 115 grams. Boom. That's what your body needs right now to create lean muscle and to retain lean muscle. And that's why you're seeing the body composition changes. Now, will that change? 100%. As she gets through the newbie gains and she starts developing more muscle and she needs heavier weights and more protein. But now we've worked Susie into this program and she's established some really great habits and she's seen some really great gains. And now she's prepared to take her protein up as she needs to, not going straight into 250 freaking grams of protein based on some magic calculation that some, again, guru who has never worked in, a gym a day in their life or whatever, knows. So that is where I go with my people. Talk to me about your take on all of that or any adjustments that you would make or what you throw in there.
Yeah, so I'm pretty similar. I kind of base it around like the gold standard for building muscle based off most of the recent science, which is about 0.8 grams per pound of body weight of your goal weight, but that, also can vary. Like if you're a woman trying to lose a lot of weight, you can't just eat a very small amount of protein right away. If you're a man that's trying to go up 40, 50 pounds of muscle, you don't just need to double your body weight in, protein right away. So it's giving yourself that starting point, and then like you're saying, just making adjustments based off how you feel. So if you eat 130 grams of protein and you feel like you're gassing up the room and running to the bathroom all day, it's probably too much, right? If you eat 80 grams of protein and you're hungry all day, you feel like you're kind of withering away, you're not seeing gains, your muscles might be shrinking, you're not having enough. So what's that intersection of I can live a happy life, but I'm also performing in the gym the way I want to and reaping the rewards from the gym that I want to reap, right? So it is a lot of play. You just kind of have to give people a starting point so they understand. But it is what you're saying. If they say they want to eat 150, I'm like, okay, well, what are you eating right now? Let's incrementally work up. It sounds like 150 might be optimal for your goal, but just because that's optimal for your goal, that doesn't mean you can do it right now.
Totally.
And that's, I think, something with perfectionism and all this instant gratification that people want all the time is the optimal plan, the best plan to just do it right now, right? To do more research and figure out what's best before they start. But you can't learn how to swim by reading about water, right? Like sometimes you just have to start and you get better after you start. And even if it's not perfect when you start, starting is what it takes either way. Yeah.
It's just like running a 5K or a half marathon. It's like nobody's going to get out there and just, sprint three point whatever miles on the first day. It's like this idea of like, you've got to work up to it. It's couch to 5K. It's the same thing in nutrition and all of those things. And again, it's very countercultural because there is this idea of like, and again, this is how you get clicks on social media and stuff. It's like how I lost
what they're not telling you,
57 pounds and that's the clickbait that you're going to click on. And it's like, this is what I did. I ate 200 grams of protein a day and I did my, click link in bio for my workout and and there's no concept of like, this was over a huge span of time. I did not just start off the next day eating 250 grams of protein. And then also a lot of times in these things, they're not talking about, again, like from point A to point B. So like there was a time in there that I really felt like absolute shit doing this, or there was a time in there that I had to learn I couldn't eat a protein Pop-Tart for every single meal just because it was easy, because I, like literally destroyed my insides. So I think that there's a lot of nuance in there. Okay.
Yeah, just like there's a different metric for whatever your goal is, right? If you're trying to bodybuild or power lift, you need more protein than someone that's trying to cut or do a recomp. Or if you're a UFC fighter, you have to eat more calories than someone who's just got a desk job, even if the person with the desk job is 30, 40 pounds heavier than you are, just because you're burning so many more calories than they are on a daily basis. So there is, size and weight and age and all these things that go into metabolism and how much you should be eating, but it's also so personalized based off your movement and your job and your lifestyle and your past with fitness and nutrition.
Yep, 100%. And that's why, again, goes back to the consult, because how are you going to know all of these things? And this is the cycle that we wanted to break at Rebel, is the people that walk in who have real goals, who have been struggling with this like yo-yo dieting their whole life, or like failing and then getting back on it and failing, getting back on it again. We want to break that cycle, and that's how you have to break it. You have to take in all the information and you have to create a plan for somebody that's going to work for them. Now, again, business-wise, that costs. And so that's why a lot of gyms are not going to do it, because they don't want to hire a person to do that. They don't want to have to put in the extra time to do that. And they just want to bring people in and put them on a membership and say, yeah, get to it. Again, for us, it was like, box 6 times a week and you got it. Kick them in there. And then when they don't hit the goal, which usually for people is a toning goal, then it's their fault. And we could just sit back behind the curtain again and be like, yep, just let them think that. Just let them think that, even though we know that boxing is not going to help anybody tone. And again, we should talk about that at some point too, like the toning myth and what that actually is. But I'm going to stay on track today. So anyway, we go through all of that stuff in the, so we go through the protein, right? We set a good goal for them, something that, again, they feel like they can accomplish. Again, if there is a person who comes in and they're eating 3 bowls of cereal every single day and we try to jump straight to a 200-gram protein goal, we are setting them up for failure. So we're going to help them adjust. Now, that's where some of the supplementation could come in. So do you really struggle with getting any kind of protein in? Well, then you definitely need a protein shake. So, and then that's where we will say, here are some ones that we recommend, but you want the most bang for your buck. You want quality protein. But that is going to help a ton be able to just at least hit. I think about it like you drink that shake, it's like eating a chicken breast, right? It's just like you're going to be able to get that. And then if you can think about eating a protein source at 2 other meals, then at least we're off to the races, and we can go from there. Then with the fiber, same thing. Like if you really struggle, like I tell everybody, I give them a list and I'm like, here's the list of fibrous foods, because you probably hadn't even talked about this since middle school when you learned about the, pyramid or whatever. But fiber, again, is another thing when you're talking about soluble, insoluble, all those other things you can break down. But the reality is fiber is going to go along with protein to help you feel fuller longer. It's going to move things through. It's going to keep you healthier. It has a lot of effect on hormones and different things like that. So it's just a really good other thing to kind of put your focus on. We are not big on calories. We don't do calorie counting in our gym. We will never encourage somebody to download MyFitnessPal. I'm doing the big X with my hands if you're listening. Those things tend to be very disordered, very, very disordered. And there are cases every once in a while. Like, again, you've got somebody coming in who is trying to cut for a fight or trying to do something very specific. And during the consultation process, we have established that they have no issues with their relationship with food. They are totally fine. Then yes, get an app, get macro factor, whatever it is, and then count what it is you're doing, so you have an idea of how much you're taking in, because a lot of people struggle with that too, just knowing how much they're actually consuming. And sometimes they need a little bit of a wake-up call on that. But what I have found is that a lot of times people will not need to count calories if they increase their protein, increase their fiber, because they will naturally put themselves into more of a deficit. Do you find the same thing?
Absolutely,
with your people?
Yeah, because protein is just the most satiating macro overall. So if you're getting your protein and eating your protein first at your meals, is one of my things I tell to my clients a lot, because then you're just not so hungry to go back for the second helping of the carbs. Like if you eat your, mashed potatoes first, you're probably going to want another helping of mashed potatoes for when you start your meatloaf, right? Like why not just eat your meatloaf or your steak, eat your vegetable, eat your carb, and you're probably full, right? So just giving things like that as well, where you're telling them to prioritize protein, and then also eating your protein source first and drinking water before your meal. A glass of water before your meal, a glass of water after your meal, and you're probably not having such cravings. You're pretty full, you're pretty satiated.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. We used to do a lot of that. That was one thing in our challenge groups back in the day, that it was based a lot on like the plate it method, which I still think is good. Again, it's the most realistic way for people to be able to like look at their plate. But again, it's tough because we live in a country where like the plate is huge, the portions are ginormous. So it makes it really hard for people who don't know to gauge it. They're like, I'm eating, literally, if I hit this thing one more time, they're like literally looking at this plate and going, oh, well, I've got a vegetable, I've got a protein, and I've got a carb. But what they don't realize is, like at a restaurant, the plate is absolutely ginormous. So helping people kind of understand that. But I think you're right. A really, again, actionable thing is just changing the order in which you eat the food. And I tell my people either the veggies or the protein first. And then that way you're still, and then if you're done with that whole thing and you're still hungry, again, this is where the discernment part comes in. You got to kind of assess that. You got to think about it and be like, am I actually hungry? I drank some water. I'm chilling for a second, because it takes a minute for your gut to catch up with like the fullness hormones to start kicking in and be like, okay, pump the brakes. But we're so used to eating so fast or eating in the car.
The binging culture, like the mukbang culture
100%.
is such a problem. Because if you're eating so quickly that you're not giving your body time to cue that it's full, because you're just pounding it in, like that's what those professional eaters do, right? Like if you're just shoveling it in, you can kind of say, no, I'm good. You haven't even had time for that switch to flip. So, but then once it does and you feel how much is inside of you, like, you still feel just as bad.
100%.
You just kind of blacked out for a minute.
God. Hot dog eating contest. So those are some actionable things, again, that we give folks that I think can kind of help them start just making small adjustments in that way. Fiber supplements are something that every once in a while I'll toss in there. If somebody really struggles with getting enough fiber in, that's a really easy thing. Benefiber is sold at any place. You can toss that into a cup of water. There's some ones that we will recommend to folks, but getting that stuff through real good foods, especially fruits and veggies, is like, that's really what we want you to do. So if you're listening to this and that's something that you struggle with, pay attention to your fiber, pay attention to those things. Putting those two things together will make such an incredible difference on just how you feel, number one, which again is something that I forgot to mention. I'll go back to in a second, but we want you to focus on how you feel, but also it will start getting you just some results pretty quick. A lot of people will find that they are less bloated and they feel like they don't crap out as quickly because they didn't realize how many just empty carbs they were taking in during the day. And so then they try to box and they can't make it through a class, or they're coming in to lift and they just can't hit the sets that they really thought they could do. And a lot of time that is because of lack of nutrition. One thing I did forget to mention is that that's a big question that we always ask too with the nutrition is like, what is your goal for nutrition? Do you have a physical goal? Do you have a feeling type of goal? Because again, a lot of people come in and they are just coming in to try to figure out how they can change the way they look when they come to see us. And then this is where we need to educate and be like, well, guess what? Like, we can definitely do that, but by default, that will happen if we just focus on a couple key things here. But let's talk about how nutrition makes you feel. Like, let's get nerdy with it and let's talk about the science of it. And what do carbs do? What does fat do? What is your, glucose? That's another buzzword that keeps coming in anymore with, well, I think my glucose is off. I think I'm going to get a glucose monitor and I'm thinking all these crazy things. And again, we're no doctor.
Yeah, and those things are possible.
Yeah.
They happen to certain individuals.
Yes.
But it's, on average, we have to go with what the masses are dealing with, which is, average health and, no conditions, no disorders.
Yeah. And if you haven't been diagnosed with diabetes, like, do we really need a glucose monitor? So again, that's a question for a doctor, but we're here to push buttons on that.
Make sure you're asking yourself the same questions that we would ask you.
100%. So think about that as far as nutrition. What is it that you want? What do you want the function to be? I've talked about this, we've talked about this multiple times too. In different stages of my life, my answer would be totally different. So I would come in, in my 20s with a certain goal. I need to be able to play Division I sports. I need to be, I need to make sure that I'm fueled for that, which, by the way, we got no training on, no coaching on at all back in the day. Now they have nutritionists and all those things in colleges, which is amazing. But we were flying by the seat of our pants. We had no idea. But our coaches were really trying to coach us, but in a way of like, not like a, hey, make sure you fuel your body well. For the long term, it was a, hey, you need to be this size in order to move the way that we need you to on the court. So we were just kind of guesstimating during those days. But 20s were totally different. 30s were totally different. Then it was like momhood and what am I doing here? And I'm trying to make dinner for everybody and it just needs to fit there. But I'm also working out a lot and in probably the trenches, probably some of the deepest trenches of my disordered eating. And then now 40s, where I just want to feel good.
Right.
I just want to feel good. And so that is where I nerd out on the science part of it is, what do these foods do for my body? How am I going to feel tomorrow? How's my inflammation going to feel? How are my injuries, going to feel? I'm to the point now, I've got stress fractures, everywhere in my body from sports and all the things and CrossFitting and all the things that I did for decades. And I will literally, if I eat certain foods, or drink certain drinks, I will feel it the next day in those places. Like I will wake up and be like, oh my God, like I can barely move my hand. And I know instantly it's because I ate a certain thing or I drank a certain thing. Alcohol definitely does that to me now. So those are things for me, that's what nutrition means to me now is I want to feel good when I wake up. And so I'm listening to those things and I'm respecting those things and being like, okay, Carissa, if you make this decision, if you go have this drink, you know what it's going to do to yourself. So just be aware and then I can be an adult and make that decision. But that's what I'm basing my nutrition off now. And then by default, it creates a better me because I'm listening to my body and I am respecting it and healing also from all of my craziness. But talk to us about your seasons of nutrition and what you've gone through and where you're at now.
Yeah, so I've gone through a bunch of different seasons in nutrition. Coming into college, I was in a very much so I want to lean out, kind of be a fresh slate so I can just start building muscle during college. So I did some intermittent fasting and things like that just to help with weight loss. It was never a extreme thing that I was cutting the calories too low. But for me, it was just giving myself that eating window helped me not to overeat. And that's where something like intermittent fasting can be a tool, but it's not the magic pill or the end all be all. Because all it was putting myself in that calorie deficit to then be able to lose weight in addition to going to the rec center and lifting weights. So I wasn't just losing muscle mass and I was playing basketball as a form of cardio that I enjoyed that didn't just feel like torture. So that's kind of where I started. And then from there, I just figured out, all right, I have to do less cardio to build the physique I want to muscularly wise. So I did a little bit less cardio, a little bit more weightlifting, and then would just kind of tweak my calorie intake and protein intake around what my current goal was. I've never had to delve into really low calories just from being a highly active person and having a good metabolism, but there are times I have to eat more than I want to eat to maintain a certain size that I just seem to want for that season. In the summer, I prefer to be a little bit leaner and focus on mobility and kind of healing. And in the fall and winter, I like to bulk up a bit, focus on strength and see if I can be a bigger shredded version of myself for the next year. So it just kind of ebbs and flows with the seasons. If I'm going to be at the beach more, going to be moving around more, it's going to be hot, I prefer to be a little bit leaner because it's cooler and feels nice. In the wintertime, I just like to eat my chili, be jolly and merry. So it's okay to be a little bit stronger, a little bit more burly, and it just depends on the season. And I think that's the best way to do it, is to just go with the season that you're in. If you say, I think I want to take it serious and shred up a little bit, then look at what you're doing, right? Let me eat out 2 less times per week. Let me cook ground beef that's 97.3 instead of, 80-20 right now. And it's just those small choices. I don't have to just eat carrots and ranch for every meal now. Yeah. It's just small little tweaks. And at this point, I've been more just in a neutral phase. I did a small cut after the winter time just to kind of lean out to a place I felt really confident for the summer. And I've just been enjoying myself, eating and drinking what I please, never overdoing it. I feel it like in the backs of my knees if I drink too much and then don't hydrate properly. So I'm in a similar space where a couple of drinks is fun and a great time, but I know where to stop and what makes me feel like trash. Yeah. So it's all about what makes me feel good at an intersection of my mental and emotional feelings and then just my confidence with where I want to be physically.
Love that. That's so important.
Yeah,
because
you should love the body you're in wherever it's at, but there's nothing wrong with having aspirations into building something that you're really proud of, because your body and your mind are 2 of the greatest projects you'll ever get to work on, and you get to work on them forever.
Yeah. And I think having the foundation is the most important part of that, because as you're talking, I can tell that you've got a very healthy relationship with food.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's like you've got a healthy relationship. And it's those are the things that I think as a person looking at nutrition, wanting to make adjustments to nutrition is we have to assess, right? Because I could never at your age talk about nutrition like that. I could have talked about it and been lying. Like I could have been faking it. Like, oh, I'm so healthy. But internally, the real of mine was I was constantly obsessing about it. Constantly. What is the next thing? What is the, how many calories am I at? What am I going to be doing later to burn off everything that I've eaten over it? There was no rest in there for me. It was all like I woke up thinking about it. I went to bed thinking about it. And so that's the difference is like when you're talking about intermittent fasting, for example. Again, we're not in the game of shaming anybody, because that's 100% how we've gotten to this point, right?
Absolutely,
Health and fitness is so polarizing, but at the same time, it's so polarizing, but it's so nuanced. So it's like that's why it's this perfect storm of craziness and why people can never quite get a grip on it and why everybody constantly fails at it because of that mixture of craziness. So what we're trying to do is help people understand is like take the shame off everything, even the carnivore joke we made earlier. If you do carnivore and that is your literal lifestyle and you live well and you live healthy and your blood work looks good and you are not doing this with it constantly, which is typically what we see. That's why we use that as an example, is it's like, well, I'll lose 40 pounds on it, but then I'll gain it all and some back. Then I'll do it again, lose 40 pounds. And statistically, weight cycling is 1,000 times worse for you than just staying overweight. That's stats. Look it up, okay? So we don't want people to do that. Again, we're not trying to cause harm. So we'd rather you just stay the same, lift some weights, eat some more protein, some more fiber, because essentially you're going to be healthier than if you keep going on these crazy diets. But for something like intermittent fasting, that 100% can be great for somebody. That it is.
It's got to be a tool.
There's
it can't be your identity, right?
There's tons of research on how it can be super beneficial for certain illnesses and certain stages of life and certain, even like perimenopausal, menopausal, they're starting to do a lot more research into this. So that's where, as a human being, I'm going to use myself for an example, I would have to sit in front of this information and say, okay, this is the newest thing right now. Like, because again, it'll be the next thing I'll see, because I'm talking in front of my phone. The next thing I'll see is all this intermittent fasting stuff and about how it's the best thing ever for perimenopause women in their 40s, okay?
And just to clarify, intermittent fasting is just giving yourself a certain window of time to eat throughout the day. So for me, it was normally 11 to 7. So I'd wake up, do some of my classes, come back home, eat my lunch, around that 11 o'clock time, have an earlier second lunch and then a dinner closer to that 7 o'clock. And then that would be all the food I would eat until the next day at 11. So it's 8 hours of eating essentially as much as you want to, and then 16 hours of a fast. And as much as you want to within reason, but when you only have an 8-hour span to eat, it's much harder to overeat unless you're going on an extreme binge.
Yes. And I'm glad you clarified that, because that's then where it comes into somebody like me who, again, I have done intermittent fasting a million times. But for me, every single time it triggered my binging, because I'm restricting to the point. If I tried to not eat for 12 hours or whatever, it was not 12. For women, it's usually like 16 or something like that.
Yeah.
Now they're undoing that, thank God. But women was always longer. So we have less time to eat. But it would be like a 16 hour. So by the last 2 hours of that, I am struggling. That's all I'm thinking about is, what am I going to eat? How am I going to get through this? Drinking water like a psycho, drinking black coffee to try to shut my
your fast.
stomach off. And I'm researching, I'm Googling what will not break a fast. I'm drinking bone broth. I'm doing all the craziness in the name of health. And again, for me, then the second that timer goes off on my phone, because there was a timer on the phone.
Yeah.
And then it's like, again, then I have to like look at that and be like, is that health? Is that health, Carissa? No. So for me, it's not. I can't do that, but I know plenty of people who do intermittent fasts and they do well with that, and it's really great for them. But again, this is where the discernment part comes in. This is where we at Rebel Fitness want you to take ownership of what you're doing and how you're doing it. It is, you're the only one who knows internally. I can sit here and say, I love intermittent fasting. It's incredible. It's the best thing I've ever done. I feel so good. I'm the leanest I've ever been, but I am lying my ass off. And I know the second I'm done with this, I'm going to go binge because my alarm's going to go off, and I'm going to eat all the things, and I'm just going to try to get it all in until that alarm goes off again for me to not eat. And I'm going to start the whole cycle over again tomorrow. So that's where we, again, come in with the nutrition piece of, we want to be as transparent. We want to be, we're not shaming anybody. You come in, you tell us. I'm not going to be like, oh my God, another one on, intermittent fasting. Here we go. Let me tell you all the reasons. That's the worst thing ever. We want to process through that. We want to talk through that. We want you to come to the conclusion of like, holy shit, this isn't working. Holy shit, why did I think this was healthy?
Yeah.
And that's what we want for the nutrition piece. So like, what is it that you're trying to actually accomplish? Where is it that you want to go with the nutrition piece? And then we're going to link arms and kind of walk with you, but then we're also going to use that science part. Like, we love the InBody at our gym. Again, this is not like a weekly thing. We don't scan more than 21 days.
It's not a hold you accountable thing as much as it's a hold us accountable thing, right? It's not a put you on the spot. Have you been doing what you're supposed to be doing? It's a, hey, I want more information to make sure I'm helping you move towards your goals. So it is on us, right? It's the accountability for me to know if I'm working hard enough, giving you enough as a coach.
Yes. And imagine that. I'm going to put a pin in what I was saying earlier and go off of this. There are a lot of gyms in town. And again, if you're listening to this or you're watching this and you are a gym who does this, shame on you. If you are a person who attends a gym who does this, shame on them. I am calling them out 100%. There are gyms that will have an InBody. They will encourage, in the middle of a hallway, they will encourage members to just go get on it and do a scan and then not even talk about it. But they teach them to look at weight, number one,
BMI,
if your weight hasn't gone down, your
yeah.
BMI, and then your body fat percentage. And if those three things have not gone down, you have failed.
You suck. Loser.
Literally, we have people come to our gym who are so traumatized after these gym challenges where they're like, I don't know, here's my InBody and I gained weight, so I failed the challenge. And it's like, okay, did they talk about the fact that, that you're doing too much over here and it's burning all your muscle, and that did they tell you that your muscle has dropped drastically, your body fat has shot through the roof during this challenge? Like, no, I don't even know what that means. Like, So weaponizing, again, the health and fitness industry will weaponize something as wonderful and as useful as an InBody scan against you in order to make you feel, again, like you're the failure, when in reality, exactly what you said, we're the failure. We're the ones that are, again, I'm sitting in this consult selling you something, And then I'm going to try my best. The mental gymnastics I'm going to do to try to make you feel like it was your fault that you failed at the end of this if you didn't hit whatever goal it was. And again, most of the time they're stupid goals anyway. But it's absolutely insanity. Again, the psychological warfare that is going on against these poor folks who come in and are just looking for somebody to help them. So again, with the in-body scan though, we like to do those because you can see trending over time of essentially metabolism going up. We're watching the basal metabolic rate. We want to see that your muscle mass is going up, your body fat percentage is going down, and your basal
fat is coming
and
down
your visceral
well.
fat 100%, and that your basal metabolic rate is going up. Like that is the science. That's where we love to get nerdy about it because that's the long-term benefit, right? Your basal metabolic rate is, we've talked about this before, but your metabolics are everything. They're everything. Everything that we're doing in here right now, like the blinking, the turning the head, the laughing, the thinking, my hormones acting the way they need to right now, my lungs going in and out, my body temperature regulating, my hair not falling out of my head, my skin, like my lymph system being able to move. All of those things are linked to your metabolics. And so if we are, as a gym, doing whatever we can to help you just lose weight, and that involves, eating freaking protein Pop-Tarts for every meal that are full of who knows whatever, kind of trash, but not fueling you and not giving you what your body needs, vitamins and minerals wise. And we're running you into the ground with training, and we're restricting your eating and doing all of these things, then your metabolism is being hurt in the long run. And that is the anti of what we're trying to do here at the end of the day, is to try to protect your metabolism, educate you about your metabolism, help you build your metabolism in the best possible way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we've talked mostly about protein just because that's what we really emphasize, but fats and carbs also have their job and their role in, fitness, in life, in just you existing, right? Because your fats really help with your hormone health, your brain health, your joint health. All those, your omega-3s and things like that are just essential for your body to operate and move. It's almost like the oil for your joints and your bones. And then your carbs, help you to your glucose, your blood sugar, the main energy source that's short term for your exercise. That's why you see people have, a banana, a Rice Krispie treat right before a workout, because those carbs turn into energy almost instantly. Your body processes carbs faster than anything else. So you have protein for being satiated, you have fats for hormone health, long-term energy for stores, and you have carbs for, hey, I need something right now. So there's just all these different roles for your different macros. Protein just happens to do the most for building muscle and for keeping you satiated. But there's also no bad groups, right? You shouldn't have to cut out a whole group to really hit that goal. Like if you look at the charts for satiation, potatoes are the most satiating food on the planet. So,
and the best food on the planet.
Right. They're so good. You don't need fries all the time that are deep fried in the old tail oil from McDonald's. But if you're cutting up your own potatoes at home, putting some oil and vinegar or, olive oil, salt and pepper, whatever it is, that's a great food. That's a good natural carb that comes from the earth that is going to keep you full. Just don't eat an entire bag of Lay's potato chips, right? Do what you need to do to be healthy and feel good.
Yeah. If you're trying to convince yourself that potato chips are a potato, we need to chat. But a good old baked potato.
A sweet potato? Oh, man. Boy.
I love a potato, boy. That's God's food right there.
And they'll tell you, watch out for your potatoes, watch out for your carbs, watch out for your pasta, right? All these things are fine in moderation, right? You can have even protein pasta. You can put ground beef and other stuff on top of a potato and make like a taco tato. Oh, that'd be gas.
I'm telling you.
Come on.
There's one of those at Sam Jones. It's so good.
So good.
But it's their smoked turkey. It's just so freaking good. So one thing that we tell a lot of people too is to try to understand the difference between like calories, macros, vitamins, and minerals. A good thing to remember is, calories is how much you weigh. So it's just the size of you, the how much this chair weighs, how much I weigh, how much this mic weighs, whatever. Like that is calories, right? Macros is what that weight looks like.
What it's made of.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So it's, are you a little more sculpted out? Are you, just a size? The macros is going to help with that. So as you adjust your macros, that's what's going to help you body recomposition, essentially.
Higher muscle mass, lower body fat, vice versa,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
And then vitamins and minerals are how you feel. And so you can't cut any of those things out. So kind of like what you're saying with like the potato versus the potato chip or whatever. There's a side of the internet out there, again, in health and fitness, that'll try to make you believe that just hit a calorie goal. And you can hit a calorie goal and you can eat 11 Snickers.
Oreos and Twinkies.
And yeah, and you can 100% do that.
And lose weight, yes. But
Totally.
be healthy,
that part.
Yeah.
And that's what we want you to keep all of those things in your brain with that. It's not about going, and that's why we tell people, again, another reason we're not into just weight loss. If you come into me and you say, I want to lose 50 pounds, I can help you do that, again, with a BS challenge group or a no weight challenge or whatever the hell it is. But I'm going to take you from this to this. And then that's where the skinny fat comes in. That's where the hormonal issues. You've got a lot, like this whole section of the population, which is a lot of people my age, because we have come from this cardioing ourselves to death, the no fat generation. Shoo, talk about hormone issues. They're connecting all of that now, because what Shamar said, fats are so imperative for your hormone health. Well, think about that entire 2 decades or whatever it was of eating nothing but Snackwell cookies and fat-free everything. It's no wonder our hormones are completely jacked and we're all struggling. So that's on that. Connect the dots on those things as many times as you can. It'll be an eye-opener. But again, like just us always making sure that we're bringing this back to what is true health. And at the end of the day, it has to involve all those things. Is weight a factor of health? It 100% can be. But to put it on the top and only focus on the weight and the calories will 100% do a disservice to your metabolism. It'll do a disservice to your hormones and your vitamin and mineral stores and all of those things.
Just your quality of life.
Totally. So that's what we want you to keep in mind. Same thing with the water. We set a water goal for people, but the reason I said and stared intently into the camera and said not a gallon is because if you look that up, that's too much water. That's too, unless you're like working construction and laying asphalt on the side of the road.
Summer football practice.
Yeah, or you're like an Olympian out, playing rugby in the heat of the day, then okay. But a gallon of water, you are just rinsing every mineral out of your system. And we've got 4 main minerals, y'all, and we need those to be mainly magnesium for like stress relief and to mitigate stress and things like that. And the majority of us are already low on that because we live in a high stress society and it burns off quickly. But then we're adding all of this freaking water to it and it's just rinsing it out. Clear pee is not a flex. It's not a flex, okay? Running back and forth to the bathroom all day long, it's not a flex. So whenever you see that stuff, no, I want you to rebuke that in the name of Jesus, okay? I want you to drink the right amount of water, which again, I always tell people, start around, 2 of your little Stanleys, all right? So 75-ish, 80 ounces of water. If that sounds doable to you, start there. And then again, you'll start feeling like, do I feel thirsty? Like right now I'm thirsty. So it's like, okay, I need to listen to that when we stop doing this. I need to not drink my coffee.
Yeah.
And I drink some water. So listen to your body. And again, it's the same thing with those cues too. It's not, is my stomach growling? I'm hungry. It's not, maybe you're thirsty. It's like the respect situation of listening to your body, I think is really important. So anyway, that takes us into, here's the plan. Susie, who I was talking about, she's got her plan. Now she's going to start with those really doable goals, right? Like very simple things. And she's going to start coming to her classes, her semi-private classes or whatever they are. And she's going to see and feel some really great results pretty quickly. Set herself up
for small wins, right?
Yes.
Instead of one big win and then immediately plateauing, she gets to win at hitting 60 grams of protein. She gets to win at hitting 70 grams of protein. She
Yes.
gets to win at seeing her muscle mass go up for the first time and her body fat come down for the first time.
Yes.
So all these small wins that she gets to see along the way are affirmations and the validation that she needs to continue showing up. If it's, hey, in 6 months, if you do this and you finally get there, you'll finally see some results here. That's a lot for a lot of people.
Totally.
6 months is a long time to
Totally.
not see results or know if you're doing enough or know if what you're doing is going to pan out like you're just hoping for 6 months.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, that's too much time.
Absolutely. Well, and, you know, I think too, watching, one of my favorite things in doing like the coaching and having people come in and do InBodies is watching their mind get blown when they get some really, like, people will come in, and again, it's just the nature of what we do, is they'll get freaked out about doing an InBody. It's like, oh my God, I'm so used to failing on this. It's like the scale at the doctor's office. You're just like clutching it, like waiting to get shamed about it or see how much of a failure you are, or be able to, okay, now I got to see what I'm actually worth by the number on this thing. So we do a lot of coaching in that too. And a lot of times we will cover the scan completely and not let them even see it so that we can just see it and know what we're doing. But watching people who have a great scan come out when they were convinced it wasn't going to be great. And I'm like, so what does this tell us? It tells us that you thought you're not doing enough in what you're doing currently, but guess what? You are, and you're getting results. And watching that blow people's mind on like, but I'm not working out 6 times a week, and I'm not eating 250 grams of protein, and I'm not starving myself, and I'm not, and it's like, I know. Isn't this amazing? Like, that is one of the best feelings in the world to me, is like being able to watch somebody in real time realize how they've been being duped for so long. And if they would have just done some super basic, simple stuff, just kind of consistently, not like consistent. This is not consistency all the way up here. This is consistency. It's just showing up over time in whatever way you can. And that blows people's minds on like, wow, I could have been doing that the entire time and been in a really great space. But instead I was trying to be a psycho all the time, and then I fall off, and then I try to be a psycho every single time. So I absolutely love that. So, okay, last thing, and then we're going to wrap this up. What are the top things that you see are the biggest issues in nutrition for people that you train that come in to the gym?
I would say just a misunderstanding that there are straight up good and bad foods. You know, that, well, I heard eggs are bad because of cholesterol. Well, I heard red meat is bad because of, you know, this. I heard I can't have butter. Well, I heard that I can only have organic this. There's not good and bad foods. There's foods, and then there's proper portions for foods, right? It's not that Oreos are good and Oreos are bad and chicken breast is good. It's, you need more chicken breast than Oreos, and it's 2 or 3 Oreos versus it's a whole chicken breast, right? It's not bad, good. It's, this is how much you need. This is what should be satisfying. This is how much you need. This is what should be satisfying, right? You're just not even having an idea of how many macros are in certain foods. Like, how much protein do you normally eat? And they have no idea, right? You're like, well, tell me about a day. And they tell you a day, and you're like, hey, that's probably like 35 grams of protein, right?
Yeah.
So just, if you're not mindful about protein intake and being very intentional about getting it in, you can go through a whole day and be sub 50 very easily.
Yeah.
So just not knowing really what they're putting into their body, and then just still having that misconception that there's good food, bad food.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's definitely probably top 3 for me too.
Yeah.
I think probably one of my tops that we haven't actually talked about in here is just not eating enough.
Yeah.
I think just, again, the amount of people who just feel like whatever issue they have, and again, it usually leads back to weight loss, but any issue that they have, nutritionally, the answer is starve.
Eat less.
Don't eat. And so, and it just creates all kinds of issues in every single area. It creates issues with, again, like internally, hormones, lymph system, all of these things, adrenals, cortisol levels, all those things. But then it also creates a lot of issues for our people who want to tone. Mm-hmm. I always put that on there because I'm speaking y'all's language right now, but people who want a body recomposition. We people come in, they've got like, I've got like a booty goal, and it's like, okay, and I've been working on this and I can't get the and it's like, well, I eat 800 calories. Well, that might be part of it.
Yeah.
Your body will never be able to create and maintain the lean muscle that you need in order to build or recomp or anything if you're not even taking in enough to keep your basic metabolism rolling.
Yeah, when I have someone that's more of a visual person, I tell them that expecting their body to grow without having enough calories is like expecting, builders to make them a home and they didn't provide the bricks.
Yeah.
Like the builders
what are we
show up
doing?
and they're like, all right, what do I do? And it's like, build. And there's no materials, there's no tools. It's like, all right, build me something, right? And that's what you're asking your body to do when you're not giving it protein and you're not giving it calories. You're like, hey, Mr. Builder,
Miracle.
pull it out your ass, please.
Yeah, we're looking for
Like,
Jesus, please.
yeah,
My booty goal.
I need it. God, if you love me,
No.
I'll never sin. I'll pray every day. Just give me this BBL.
That's right. Nope. And he's like, eat a sandwich.
Yeah.
Eat a baked potato. Okay. All right, good. And then last thing that we want to talk about, what's your, I already forgot the nice way I was going to say this. So the most
Biggest-
shit online thing that you see for
biggest
nutrition.
diet culture pet peeve.
There you go.
Biggest bullshit online.
Yep.
Yeah.
What is yours?
Just the idea that like you can't really eat anything anymore, right? Aspartame is killing you. Every vegetable has a pesticide that's killing you. Every processed food is full of seed oils and microplastics that are killing you. If you're eating red meat, that's actually jacking up your cholesterol and clogging your arteries. If you're eating the yolk of the egg, you're going to die of high cholesterol, whatever it is, right? If you're eating fruit, you're going to get diabetes because there's too much sugar.
Yep.
Watch out for vegetables. They're full of starches and things that are going to make you fat, right? So just the idea that there's actually nothing good left to eat it's just a lie, right?
Yeah.
But there's people, don't eat this, don't eat that, only eat whatever. Just
The things
eat.
in my bio.
Right.
Click my bio
just
and I'll tell you
eat.
what to eat.
Yeah, please. It doesn't have to be steak, eggs, and avocado every morning. That's not the only nutrient-dense meal on the planet. It doesn't have to be only chicken, rice, and vegetables, right?
Yeah.
But just the idea that you have to have ultra-purified, electrified water with pink Himalayan salt
Louise.
and lemon, or else you're drinking dead water and it's, ruining your organs. So just don't think too deeply into everything you see online. Make your own conscious decisions. Do what makes you feel good and live by that, because someone's going to tell you something different every day. Someone's going to feel great off carnivore. Someone's going to feel great off being a vegan, and they can both be right, but that doesn't mean that you have to do either of those things.
And if you're not, like, let's go to I used to talk about this a lot in my mental health days, but it's like, we know the basics. Movement changes lives. Just walking
Movement
3
is
times a
medicine.
week
Yeah.
is like, will take your Alzheimer's risk down, something stupid, cancer risk down. So those things we know, like eating a fruit a day, a vegetable a day, like eating as much of like, whole foods,
Yeah.
right? Those are the fundamentals. And again, I'm not going to, don't take this and clip it down in your brain into, well, what do I need to eat? I'm just saying, eat an apple a day, start there, eat whole foods, move your body. We know the fundamentals. If you are not even attempting the fundamentals or hitting anything on there, so help me God, if you're looking at a hydrogenated water bottle with the salt and the whatever, I'm telling you, I will lose my gourd.
Yeah.
Focus, that's not going to be the thing that moves the lever.
The peptides, the collagen, these are all great and useful supplements, but they move the dial the extra 2%. Right? You have to do the first 80% yourself. If you're not eating natural whole food sources of protein, you're probably not just going to take 4 scoops of protein powder a day and reap the benefits you want, because that's not going to provide all the vitamins and minerals you need, like Carissa talking about the protein Pop-Tarts, right? A steak or eggs have so many vitamins and nutrients that you're not going to get from a scoop of powder, and that's why it's a supplement. Supplements are great to add into what you're doing, but they can't be the majority.
Yeah. It's just that mindset of like, let me find this one thing to like freak out about or think that I could really put my effort into that. And then, you know, back in the day when like the whole, what was it, like the Ebola breakout or something like that happened, I'll never forget this. And I had a friend who was like freaking out about it. They had like 2 cases in the whole US and she was like freaking out and this is what we needed to. And I was like, the way you are so hyper-focused on this, but I've literally never watched you put a seatbelt on on the highway.
You don't even wash your hands.
And you smoke a pack a day in cigarettes. Be so for real right now. So the point of that is like, let's get like back over where the things that we can control and the things that, again, like control in a good way. Like get your ass outside and go for a walk.
Touch some grass.
Get to the gym and move your body, like whatever that looks like, before you start investing in hydrogenated water bottles and, you know, whatever else.
Fat burner peptides.
The 18 injections a week and stuff like that. So I love that. Okay. We're going to wrap it up. This is something that we honestly could talk about forever, you guys. But one thing I do want to mention is we have lots of resources when it comes to help with nutrition, and it is in a weight neutral, body neutral space. It is a lot of times people are struggling with things and they want to talk to a nutritionist or a dietitian, but there's this idea that to go in and talk to those people, it has to be about weight loss or something like that. It does not. And there are resources out there. We work closely with Courtney Robinson here, who's local. She is incredible. She has taught us so much about how we want to move forward in our nutrition space and how we want to word things. We definitely want to shout out to Courtney. And if you are looking for somebody, you can Google her or message us and we can definitely refer you over to her. But there are lots of resources out there, you guys. Again, make sure your fitness space, hold them accountable to staying within their realm. Fitness space, you guys stay within your realm. Refer people out when it's necessary. We definitely make sure that we do that if we think it's beyond our scope. And that is the biggest overall message that we want to make here. And please continue to stay posted on all of our stuff. If you haven't already, sign up for the little notifications on our podcast. They drop every Tuesday. Keep us posted on what you guys want to hear. Like our stuff, comment on our stuff, or, you know, hate our stuff. A click is a click.
That's true.
So, but keep watching, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Later.
If you a little sensitive, you might as well turn this joint off right now.